I could not be more opposite than Amelia. Yeah. I am not a lesbian. Sorry, ladies. I'm not 23. Sorry, fellas. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So I know there is a lot of heavy things going on in the world right now. And comics, I know, aren't supposed to go there. But can we just talk for a few minutes about my petite pleather pants? Okay? Normally I don't dress this provocative. So I don't want to get all you guys, or the ladies, all heated up. And then you go home and say something stupid like, "Hey honey, have you ever thought about petite pleather pants?" And the other person's all like, You were attracted to that little middle-aged comic on stage, weren't you? No, So I don't want to be the cause of all that trouble, But I took the risk. I took the risk because when you are 4'11" and a half, when you find a pair of petite pleather pants that fit and don't have a Hello Kitty patch on the back, you grab them up, right? And especially if you can earn $32 in Kohl's cash, that's another plus, right? Anyway, enough about my hot pants and my financial savvy. We have some more important things to talk about, like my struggles keeping up with what seems to be an increasingly high-performance world. And by the way, if there are any high performers out there right now, I'm gonna apologize right in advance. I do not like you. At all. I do not want to be anywhere near you. Let me just explain. Okay, so for example, I was late for this gig tonight, again. And one of my New Year's resolution, well, actually my first big New Year's resolution was not to be late anymore. And I am also, and speaking of late, I also was late in making my New Year's resolutions. I didn't make them till January 10th. It's already February 1st, and I've broken all of them. I'm also exhausted, right? Because my other resolution, by the way, was to get more sleep. But I decided to stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning last night, watching the entire last season of Sister Wives, because you got to know what happens to those ladies. I mean, you can't have cliffhangers, you know what I mean? But so apparently you're starting to see, I have discipline problems. I have not kept a single resolution past January 2nd since 1995. Like 30 years I have not kept a resolution. I do not know what's the matter with me? I don't know. I've tried everything. I even once tried to get outside help, okay? I appointed one of my friends as my resolutions accountability manager, okay? It's resolutions accountability manager. It's called a RAM. Ouch. It even hurts to say it, doesn't it, right? So yeah, I appointed my friend Carol as my RAM. Ouch. Because I knew Carol, she's tough, and I knew she was going to be tough on me, and she was. Yeah, Carol and I are no longer friends. Because she was really annoying, guys. I'm telling you. I was sitting around, and I'm just about to take a big bite of, out of my Portillo sausage and beef combo, with cheese. And, my phone would ring. It's Carol. Hey, Carol, what's up? What's going on? I want to know, like, what'd you eat today? What'd you eat? I want to know, and tell me the truth. An apple? Nothing? An apple? And then she asked me, how many times you work out? What about the gym? How many times you go to the gym this week? You know what, Carol? I gotta go. I gotta go. And then later that night, I'd be laying in bed, and because it's tiring after all that meat, and I lay in bed, and I hear a text, and I'm like, it's Carol. Yeah. And I could just hear her voice, but I look at it, and she says, and by the way, I gotta put my Fruit Loops on my nightstand. Pause my, episode of Love is Blind on Netflix. And it says, hey, did you turn your screens off? You gotta get your 8.5 hours of sleep. Your screen's off. I'm sick of it. All right, so I call Carol. Leave me alone! What do you mean? I thought you wanted me to be the accountability manager. I didn't mean it! Jesus, Carol. Yeah, well, she got the message, all right. Not getting rammed by Carol anymore. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. All right, but the point is I have problems with discipline, but nobody else in my world does. They got it down. They're like the discipline kings and queens, right? Especially in my line of work, in PR. I've got my clients who are these successful multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs, right? Or our employees who are these self-care obsessed Gen Zs. And I'm neither a multi-million-dollar successful entrepreneur nor a self-care obsessed Gen Z. I'm neither of those things. I'm average. I know it's hard to believe here. But I am. I grew up in West Rogers Park, this neighborhood right here, right? West Rogers Parkers. Yeah. And average. And grew up in a family of 3 kids, average. We lived in a 3-bedroom ranch, average. I went to NIU in DeKalb, got a bachelor in communications, average. Everything's right in the middle, average, because God made me that way, I don't know. But then, this little average person got an entry-level job at a very successful national PR agency, right? And I worked my butt off for 27 years. They didn't know what to do with me, so they made me president. President! I'm at the top of this company! But I'm still average. I married a guy named Mark, a blue-collar guy named Mark, average. We have 3 kids, average. We live in a 3-bedroom ranch, average, in Wheeling. Below average. Oh my God. And the thing is I thought I was not average until I came across all of these high performers, high achievers, right? I would go to work every day. I get home between 6 and 7 p.m. I pour myself a 7-ounce glass of brandy. I do a little laundry. I eat some dinner. I don't cook it, but I eat it. And every once in a while, if I'm feeling really ambitious, I go to the door and I get it. And then maybe I do a little more work and I drink a little more brandy, and then I go to bed, and then I get up, you guys, at 5:45 a.m. Oh. Right? Thank you. Oh my God. And you know what? I take a shower. And I and I blow dry my hair into this professional bob, you know, and then I get on a train from Wheeling to Union Station, and I get in a cab, and I go to my office, and by the way, I have 2 tote bags, one on each hand, and one's got like all my stuff in it, you know, for work, and then the other one's got my 3 p.m. energy drink and my sandwich and my bagel, you know, and everything. And then I pull up to the door, and I walk inside, you know, and I feel accomplished. Oh, done! Benito! And then I go up to the 2nd floor, and I go into our office, and I get in the door, and there they are. Jenna, Jasmine, Josh, Jake, Jeremy, all the Gen Zs with their John names, I don't know, jamming it out, whatever. There's no does, there's no Debs. You know, and they're all just there, just waiting to take the wind out of my sails. You know, I look at Jenna, and she's got her gym bag under her desk with dirty gym clothes, dirty, because she's already been to the gym. It's 8 a.m. She's already been to the gym. And she looks phenomenal. She's wearing a jumpsuit with a belt. And her hair, she doesn't have this bob, you know. She's got beach waves, you know, like she just came running. And, you know, Jenna, I got up at 5:45 a.m. I took a shower. I straightened my hair into a bob. I took a train to the city. Do you think that's easy? And everybody from like Jasmine's row to Josh's, they've got these like see-through 48-ounce water bottles. You know, you can see how much water they drink. Half. You know, and I've got my water bottle, and it's full from yesterday. And then I go over to the refrigerator, right? Because I just want to slap like a thick layer of cream cheese on my Asiago bagel, you know, the kind with like the so good. Gosh, I love those. Anyway, then I open the refrigerator, and staring at me right in the face are all these Ziploc baggies with chopped vegetables and containers with steamed beets, and they're all out there talking about whether it's better to like steam your beets or roast your beets. You know? I don't know what a raw beet looks like. I couldn't pick one out of the produce section if my life depended on it. You know, and also they're all talking about they're counting macros and calorie deficit. Okay, does anybody out here know about, who knows about what a macro is? Or, oh my God, this is worse than I thought. Holy crap. Okay, well, anyway, they're talking about that. I don't understand what either of those things are. But then they start talking about, okay, dry January. Is anybody out here doing a dry January?
No.
Thank you. Okay. If you were raising your hand, it would be like, those are the same people who know about the macros and the calories. I don't want anything to do with you, yeah. Look, Josh is all, oh, yeah, I just love my dry January, and my head is so clear, you know. I feel great. I'm going to carry it into February, I think, you know. Oh, Josh, that's really great, you know? Me too. All right, and then, by the way, I'm ready for a fucked up February. Today's the first game, yeah! And then the advice giving comes, right? All the Gen Z sitting around a table, starting to give advice, you know, mostly to me. They're like, You know what you gotta do, Deb? You gotta set clear goals and execute. No. Okay, thanks, jumpsuit Jenna. Or I like this one. You know what you gotta do? You just gotta find what works for you. But you know what I decided? I'm not gonna take any advice from these Gen Zs, especially from these Gen Zs. I'm gonna give it. Right? Because if I can't manage my own life, I'm gonna manage other people's, because that I'm good at, right? And not only that, I've decided I'm gonna be a RAM. A resolutions accountability manager. What's your name? What's your name?
Ralph.
Ralph. Okay, of course it is. Ralph. Ralph, I'm gonna be your RAM. What's your phone number? We'll be in touch. Don't try to sneak out of here either, all right? Thank you.